Hi, everyone, and welcome to AB Conversations, where we will help you CFP your way out of it. A podcast where you get into the minds of a couple certified financial planners on how we think and feel about everyday financial planning questions and what should really matter most to you. A healthier financial life starts now. Hey, Adam, welcome back to AB Conversations. How you doing today?
Doing just great. How about you?
Excellent. We have quickly moved into the month of April, which I'm sure everybody knows is Financial Planning Literacy Month.
Of course, who doesn't know that?
This is a great topic today. We typically get the question, like, at what point am I ready to hire a financial planner, right? How and when to get started. I think this is just a good way to talk about some of those fundamental things in planning, or even what are those situations, those triggers where we find people coming to us. So let's use that as kind of AB conversation podcast for this week.
Yeah, I think a lot of kind of our initial meetings, right? That initial process is just trying to discover what fundamentals does somebody already have in place. And when we say fundamentals, it truly is just kind of the basest of basics when it comes to just good financial habits.
Right. That should be true for everyone.
Yeah. So and you said it earlier, just as we were kind of talking through this, it's making sure you have a cash reserve. And even that, it varies, right? We can give specific feedback. It varies from person to person, couple to couple. It's all situational, but just having a cash reserve in the bank, systematically saving.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Whether it is, if it's going to that cash reserve till that's at a comfortable level, great. If that means, taking advantage of 401k match at work, just at least contribute up to the match to get that free money, but systematically saving so that it's kind of not seen and not felt.
Yep.
Much harder to spend it.
Yeah. And that's a good one too. You know what you're spending, you're cash flow positive, you're not accruing debt. And even when it comes to some of those workplace things earlier in life, or, just getting yourself started, take advantage of their programs. If it's insurance, on the back end, we talk about documenting a will. When we say basics and fundamentals, I guess the point we want to make is, right, you don't need to go pay somebody to get some of these things in order, right? If you want to be healthy, we're told, balanced diet, exercise, and get some sleep, right? You don't go to a paid specialist, a doctor, to consult with you on those basics. You know what you have to do. So those are the fundamentals.
Yes.
And I think there are, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I think there are some awesome tools out there right now. It's in the world of do it yourself, right? There are now good pieces of technology that help you aggregate your data or track your spending. There's even robo advisors to kind of get you started with some of the simple investing things. Put $100 into this brokerage account over here and just systematically invest.
Yeah. So I think that part of it for a lot of people, depending on kind of the dollar amount and where you're starting and just kind of what familiarity you have with planning and investing in general, that those robo platforms do a great job of diversifying.
Yeah.
Simply, you plug in some information, you start investing, and they can at least handle that high level where we've seen it. We've had conversations recently where people have expressed some regret of doing investments themselves and just making maybe some wrong moves in the past, and just feeling like if they had something that was much more basic, much more plain vanilla, they'd be further ahead. And by the way, they could have spent less time having to do all these things on the side outside of their normal everyday life that they want to accomplish.
Yeah, so let's use that as the pivot, right? If the question is, am I planner ready? And you get some of these fundamentals in order that are pretty basic. Again, there's lots of resources out there to help you make sure you've checked those boxes. Then let's maybe go through the list of what are those triggers then that we would say, or we find that people are absolutely ready to hire some sort of financial planning help.
Yeah, I think the most obvious is when there is a life transition, whether that's, getting close to retirement or changing jobs or getting married, kids going to college, whatever that may be. If there are big decisions that need to be made that also happen to have a financial tilt to them, it may make sense to get a second opinion, or at least get some perspective on what should I be thinking about, what should I be focused on, and maybe more importantly, what should I be avoiding at any point in time.
Yeah, I almost liken it to if you're at a point with some sort of financial decision where you can't just go to Google and get some sort of basic output, right? And now's the time, right? When we say
Yeah.
cash reserve, you're going to Google that and you're going to see, well, I should have anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Like, you can do that math on your own. Now it's, life transition. Now I have all these options that are going to take me down very different paths. Like, now's the time to hire that help. I take it. I don't know why this just popped into my head, but I remember reading that, when a flight takes off from New York to California, 97% of the time it's like off course, right? And that is absolutely why you've got air traffic control, like making minor changes here and there. I think that's it. If you're at this point where like now you really need clear direction and you're not sure which way is best for you, hire the help.
Yeah, and sometimes that has to do with the timeliness of the decision, or when it comes to retirement. One of the people that we spoke to recently, it felt like that time wasn't necessarily on their side anymore, right? Time couldn't make up for any mistakes, right? That having money invested, my time horizon didn't feel as long that the market was going to do any more of the heavy lifting. I needed to get this right? I'm at a time where I can't afford mistakes, and I don't want to get these decisions or even minor changes incorrect. Then again, that's probably time just to make sure, get a second set of eyes, and get that bigger context that I think we bring to the table as CFPs. Look at all pieces of their financial puzzle and be able to start to put them together.
So I like that. Life transitions, retirement's a big one. I mean, that's probably when we're most frequently found. I'd go even more basic, like just for everyone, not even a life transition or a phase of life with retirement. If you're too busy, right? If you're at the point where you don't feel like you can stay on top of things that should be stayed on top of, right? You're potentially going to drop the ball. This is the service. This is a service model to help take care of things for you, right? Why do people pay for lawn care or home cleaning? It's not because they don't know how to do it or they can't do it.
Right.
It's not the best use of their time.
That's it. It's funny you even bring up lawn care, because that's been a recurring theme in my life right now. I haven't mowed the lawn yet this year, but I'm looking at it out my side door. Some of the neighbors do pay people to do it, and it's already been done. It's like, maybe I'm getting there. Maybe I don't want to spend, a couple hours a week working on my lawn. Like, there are other things that I'd rather be doing with my time. And that can be, so again, parallel to us, right? If someone is not comfortable doing a lot of the research or the analysis, or even just gathering that information, and they'd rather be doing other things, it's why we're here, right? It's okay to be able to hire somebody you trust and are familiar with to at least guide that part of your life, so you can get some time back.
Yeah, especially as, again, those things that you need to stay on top of have potentially bigger effects to either your bottom line, efficiencies, or even again, trajectory of your goal. I put in a similar camp to that, right? If you're at the point where you're starting to get fractured advice, right? You know that you needed to kind of get some help with the taxes, or now you've got the attorney, or you've got the person at work that talks to you about your 401k allocation, and now they're starting to recognize you're making good money, or your net worth's getting a little higher, and now you're getting kind of arrows from all these different directions on, well, I'm doing this, or you should be doing that. That is the time to kind of hire the person to kind of put it all together, right? It's that whole more money, more problems. Like, even if you do have the time, or that you want to put in the effort to figuring it out, at some point that just gets too confusing when you don't know what is best for you.
Yeah, and you said earlier too, right? If it's something that's easily found on Google, right? Cash reserve 3 to 6 months, or there's a wide range there that I'm sure other people say, oh, you should have a year, or you should have 2 years. The point is, if even that simple Google search brings you, many different answers, and you don't know which one fits your situation, again, I think that's where we can come into play. And again, look at all of the pieces, look at their specific situation, and say, based off of what you've told us and what you have set up, here's what you should be doing that may be completely different from your neighbor or your coworker or a family member. because I feel like we've said this over and over and over and over again, but when it comes to financial planning, it really is situational, right?
Yeah.
There's no one size fits all advice. There could be advice that is similar from person to person and situation to situation, but when we say we do planning, we have not had a single plan that has been a duplicate of another.
Right. And that's just the nature of what makes up an individual's financial life. And then all the way down to how they think and feel about money. And that one comes into play, I think, too. And we should probably add it to this list. If you find yourself emotional about the decision that you have to make, like, just push pause and make sure you've got somebody in between you and that decision. Right. I think it's easy to bring investments into that. Right. If you find yourself wanting to log on to your portal and change your investments because of something that happened in the headlines, like, you got to somebody's got to play defense for you. Right. All the way down to, again, if it's a life transition or something that you're going through in life, stress, like, don't allow those emotions to take over what should be the right reaction that that you would probably make in a calmer time.
Right. Yeah. And so we've certainly played that role where I was going to say maybe to a fault, we are somewhat detached from the situation, right? We certainly empathize and I think we are very personal in that approach, but we are able to remove ourselves from the emotional side of it and then truly look at the actual facts and figures and the situation itself as a whole to be able to give that feedback or that advice that we think fits that person best at that time.
Yeah. And as you were saying that, I was thinking kind of tying a couple of those things together. Too busy, fractured advice, maybe it's a little emotional. I often think, do I need a financial planner? How would I know? If you run your own business, like, it's probably hitting on all of those, right? It's fractured advice. You certainly don't have enough time. Maybe you're really competent with it, but the weight of those decisions is really big, especially if you've got paid employees, you've got obligations, contracts, customers, right? One slip up can really mean a lot of bad dominoes. So I think that's probably an underserved group. At least that's what we see. But they definitely make that list. How do you know if you should have a financial planner? Well, if you run a business, you probably should.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen that, and it's hard to carve out time, like even just finding that time to like offload some of that work to a paid professional is a hurdle in and of itself. But it's just one of those things that if you're at that point, you almost have to bite the bullet up front, know you're going to lose some time on the front end to be able to free yourself up on the back end. Yep.
I guess I have one more that kind of just wraps it all together. So, chime in here on this one, because I think it's the fluffiest answer that I have, right? If you are ready, if you feel that you are ready for partnership, right? So whether that's you're too busy, it's emotional, I would say if you have any question where you've now become a little uncomfortable, like you're giving yourself pause, that is the time to make sure that you at least have a conversation with somebody that has been through what you are going through before. Right. Yeah. And that's where we really do need to separate. And the title of the podcast here was on purpose, right? AB Conversation, CFP. It's planner ready, not necessarily, financial advisors sticking in that silo that it can be investments. If you are starting to feel the pressure of a financial decision that you got to make, you are ready to at least have a conversation, at least knock on somebody's door to say, hey, what do you think? There's no harm in that.
Yeah. Yep. And I think you said that incredibly well. And we've met with people before that is just confirming that what they have in place, right? That initial meeting is just, these are the questions that I have. And we can quickly high level say, there's no red flags here. There's nothing huge or obvious that is, kind of glaringly wrong to us. You're on a decent path. You don't necessarily need us to continue to do what you're doing.
And that can be a good takeaway here. As far as next steps for people, you're listening to the podcast. We have a lot of friends in this industry. We know a lot of other organizations that do things in a similar way that we do on the front end. And that is, they'll usually give you some sort of intro call, right? So if you're starting to think, am I ready? There really is no harm in having that intro call to get their opinion on that.
Yeah.
right? So take that step if that's the question. But when it comes to some of those bigger things we referenced, yeah, absolutely carve out the time to start talking to somebody.
Yep. I agree.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you. It's a pleasure as always.
We'll see you again real soon.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.